Democrats have criticized the timing of the redistricting bill that Republicans put forward. It's now passed out of the Assembly. If you think this is truly good policy now, why not support something like this back then?
Well, you know, the honest to God answer is sometimes you have to take a step back and say what's in the best interest of the state. You know, I think it's the job of the legislature to draw the maps. I think the maps that we have are perfectly fine, and they have met every single court test. It's a done deal. But I also know that we have a partisan Supreme Court who, if Janet Protasiewicz doesn't recuse, is going to do some kind of a judicial gerrymander, which is wrong for Wisconsin, and will create a whole additional set of problems that isn't right for Wisconsin. So this is probably the perfect time for us to say, look, each side has something to win and each side has something to lose by having a nonpartisan process go into effect. I thought, since it was introduced by Democrats in every one of the previous 10 sessions, that we would just adopt a version of the bill, which is the closest it can be to Iowa, and put it on the floor. There's no need for a public hearing. They've already talked about it. I mean, we've had referendums in half the counties around the state. You know, it's a cause célèbre, especially for liberals. So let's put it on the floor and take a vote. Well, then their hypocrisy began to show. We could not have, when we adopted 7 amendments to try to make it even closer to what they said they objected to, and they're still opposed. So the idea is they don't want nonpartisan redistricting. They want something that's going to guarantee that they have the ability to gain power. That's not what elections are about. I think we win elections.
Do you see this bill or this effort as a way for Republicans to retain power?
No, I mean,
the same way.
No, because there's no guarantee how a nonpartisan map would go. I think we have better candidates. I think that's the reason we have won. Don't forget, we have districts that Tony Evers carried, that Joe Biden carried. Democrats don't. They only win in areas where they are highly concentrated because the crazy policies that they adopt don't actually appeal to independents and people across the board. Republicans have had the benefit of 10 years worth of elections where we reach across the aisle and we find ways to get Democrats to support Republicans. That's how we've been successful. So I have no concern that if we have a fair, nonpartisan process, that we'll have the same ability to retain majorities into the future. I guess Democrats are the ones that are now afraid of it. They want some kind of a jerry-rigged process where they have the ability to guarantee that they're going to get a majority because they can't do it fair and square. This is a fair process. It should be adopted. I don't know why they would say something for 10 years and then at the end, when they have the chance to get it, to say, no, it's not good enough.
What comes next for this bill?
My hope is the Senate has a hearing. I think they're hopefully going to have one very soon, that we get it across the finish line, get it to Governor Evers' desk, and say to him, this is the bill that you asked for, sign it.
Do you think there can be a compromise, as the shared revenue bill saw many, many compromises? Representative Tony Kurtz, you know, he talked about this on the floor when there was the debate, that it got a little better as the process went on. Do you think it can get a little better for Democrats?
I mean, I'm always open to listening, but the very idea, I mean, the whole point is to have a nonpartisan process, right? That is the point. I think the Democrats now want to use partisan data to draw the districts. Well, that is kind of a non-starter, because how do you have a nonpartisan process if you put all the political data in to be able to draw it to some kind of a jerry-rigged system? So, you know, I'm certainly willing to listen. If they have ideas, I'm always open to finding an answer they can get across the finish line, but not if it cuts at the very core of the idea of nonpartisanship.
The way the bill is written now, if the maps are rejected twice, the legislature could just draw them, and the Republicans right now control the legislature.
It was changed. Yeah.
It's a bipartisan vote. But who's to say that there couldn't be just a few Democrats or Democrats who are perhaps promised something? You know, there could be a little bit of questionable things there. Why not a 2/3 vote?
Well,
of the legislature?
First of all, if you look at what's happened in Iowa, many times, because now you will not take into account where incumbents live. So you could have 20 or 30 people paired together with somebody else. Well, it's very unlikely that a legislator is going to vote for a map where they are paired with another member. So if we now put a requirement in to have some kind of a supermajority, you're basically saying we won't be able to get a map drawn. It's hard enough to do a nonpartisan map where you get a majority of people willing to say, look, it's not my best interest, but it's for the best interest of the state, but you don't put it at someone's own political peril. So again, I'd be open to listening, but if you look at the way it's worked in other states, a supermajority requirement is really just a requirement for failure, and I don't want that to happen if we can help it.
Speaker Voss, thanks so much for the time this morning.
Thanks, Sarah. Nice to chat with you.